On December 18, 1963, 20-year-old Grandmaster Bobby Fischer, playing with the black pieces, produced a wonderful 21-move masterpiece against Robert Byrne, an international master at the United States Chess Championship in New York. In that championship, Fischer went on a perfect 11-game run, winning all of them. Let's take a look at the 21-move brilliancy produced by Bobby Fischer. Robert begins his play with d4, and Fischer responds with knight to f6, not allowing Robert full control of the center. c4, g6, g3, and then c6 by Bobby Fischer instead of the usual bishop to g7 that is commonly played after g6. Robert plays the move bishop to g2, d5 from Bobby, and then pawn takes on d5, followed by Bobby's pawn taking back, putting a valuable pawn for Bobby in the center opposing Robert's pawn. Knight c3 from Robert is played, and then the natural moves are played after Bobby plays bishop to g7, pawn e3, Bobby castles, knight to e2, knight c6, Robert castles, and then a kind of a mirror play is happening between both players. After Bobby plays pawn to b6, Robert plays the same opposing move, pawn to b3, and then both players bring out their bishops to a6 and a3. After 11 moves, this game is now 10 moves away from being over and setting Bobby up for a brilliant win. Even though this game is 10 moves away from being done, in this position, it looked like the board has a perfect mirror splitting up both positions, as it had similar piece placement on A, B, C, D, G, and H file for both players. And it looks like this game is far from being over, because in symmetrical positions like this one, the game moves very slowly. But the deciding factor that Bobby focused on in this game are the files in which the pieces do not align, and there are differences. And in this case, it is the F and the E file, with both knights being misaligned with one another, as well as the E pawns. What Bobby first did here is move his rook to E8, getting out of a pin from his opponent's bishop and preparing for an E-pawn move challenging the center. Robert played the move queen to D2 as move 12 of the game, and Bobby pushed the E-pawn as planned to E5 as a 13th move, putting pressure on the D-pawn. After the D-pawn captures, knight recaptures, and more imbalance has been created to the position on the board. Rook to D1, and then Fischer hops his knight off to D3, protected by his bishop on A6, giving it great control on a lot of white squares on the board. Queen c2 is the next move played by Robert, and then Bobby sacrifices his knight as he takes on the pawn on f2. The king takes the knight on f2, and knight hops to g4, checking the king. The king goes back to g1, knight takes on e3, forking not one, not two, but three valuable pieces for white, being the rook, queen, and bishop. Robert decided in this situation to save his queen by moving into d2. A natural move here would be to take the rook with the knight, as he would get more material points doing it. But in this position, Bobby noticed that the bishop is a much more valuable piece to white, as it is in a great position guarding the king, so he decides to capture it instead of the rook. King takes knight, and the 19th move played by Fischer here is pawn to d4. This move was a great move by Fischer, as it opens up the diagonal for his bishop, the same diagonal that white's king is on, and without white's light-squared bishop, he is in serious trouble. Knight takes pawn, bishop b7 check, king to f1, and then queen to d7 is move 21, the last move of the game. Why? Well, because after this move, Robert resigns and gives Bobby the win. Bobby was, as he said, bitterly disappointed after his opponents resigned the game, because he knew what was coming from this play and he wanted to execute it to win. This is what he wanted to do. After Robert plays the move queen to f2, getting away from a possible bishop to h6 move, Bobby will play the move queen to h3 with check, king to g1, and here is the master move that Bobby wanted to play, rook to e1. The queen can take the rook as it is defending a checkmate. After the rook takes, the bishop is now free to pin the queen to the king after moving it to d4. Queen takes bishop, and then queen to g2 is checkmate. This is an amazing game and one that Bobby hoped to complete. The game started in perfect symmetry and looked like a slow and long game, but 10 moves later, the game was over. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video.